The NFL season is finally here, so make sure you're ready with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. It gives you the most live NFL games all in one place, exactly what you need to make your Sundays more magical. Sign up today at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Lexus Postgame Podcast. Eskridge Lexus, the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com, all our podcasts, but they were never more needed than they were this weekend. We will get into that a little bit later on in the show, but we welcome in now Eddie Radosevich and George Stoya. The instant reaction, last I checked, was over 8,000 views in like 2 hours, so that Beautiful. Is killing it. But it's time for the Eskridge Lexus postgame pod, and you made your way back to Montgomery. Is that what I understand? They kicked you out of the press box?
Yeah, we're in Montgomery. It's not too far. It's like 40 minutes. I've lost my voice, Carey.
No. Oh, I can tell. It's bad.
It's bad. I don't have a voice. And it's not because I was yelling. We've just been working all day.
Eddie's also sick.
Yeah.
I'm not sick. I'm fighting through it.
Oh, no, this is bad. Anyway, Sooners win it 27-21. And look, I think we should start here. An improbable win, an amazing win, just an incredible comeback by the Sooners. But let's face it, I think everyone has gotten a little down on this Oklahoma team, and it looked like a complete shit show through three quarters today, even the start of the fourth with the penalties. I think at one time we if you had a button where you could have fired Joe John Finley, we all pushed it at the same time because that tight end room. Look, Bauer Sharp is valuable as a pass catcher. There's no doubt there, but the mistakes that kept happening throughout the game and just the ineffectiveness of the offense continued. And then all of a sudden, you get a little spark. J.J. Hester, of all people. J.J. Hester comes out of nowhere and makes the biggest play of the season. I'm sorry, Eddie, go ahead.
Oh, no, just bobbling the ball. Like, it was a great throw. We'll get to Michael Hawkins in a little bit.
It was a little bit of a bobble.
J.J. Hester. Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't a clean catch, but he made the catch. I mean, what are we doing here, Eddie? He made the catch, a 60-yard catch. We can't complain about the cleanliness of the catch.
It's unbelievable. Clutch. Exactly what they needed. And inside the stadium, I think that was like kind of the first warning shot of not only is OU in this game, but they're kind of changing the momentum of the game. It was a massive play.
Yeah, I mean, just exactly, and I said it, I tweeted this out, like, there's nobody stock who has risen throughout this season more than J.J. Hester's because of that play. He had 3 catches for 86 yards today. I mean, they needed somebody to come out of the blue, somebody that you didn't expect to come up, whether it was Zion Reagans or I think we all thought Jaquez Petaway could have been a big part of things, and he really wasn't. Just anybody. Yeah. I mean, they had Zion Kearney out there for a little bit. Whether it was Bauer Sharp or whoever, they were down so many guys that you needed somebody to step up, and J.J. Hester, God bless him, he answered the call today. Offensively, the biggest thing to happen all day. Other than, the offensive line did play pretty well. I mean, I know I saw Josh talking about this. There's nothing that makes you think that this is going to be a Joe Moore award-winning offensive line anytime soon. But progress, baby steps. That's what you had to have out of this offensive line, and we'll get into the defense and all that stuff, but Michael Hawkins, what he was able to do today, it was very reminiscent of the Tennessee game in Knoxville where OU didn't do anything for 3 quarters and then boom, fourth quarter, found some magic and made a victory happen.
We were talking about this on the way back, Carey. It just like his poise in just throughout the game. I think the 48-yarder kind of settled him into things with the touchdown in the first quarter and the first possession, but just the way that he operates, cool customer. I thought some of the stuff that he did just in terms of extending plays, even if it didn't go for a lot, the throw to Hester in the third quarter that they got reviewed for the knee, that was an incredible play to keep it alive.
Yeah.
We would like to see him a little bit more, but at the same time, there's a lot to like with Michael Hawkins. That was a perfectly delivered ball to Hester in the fourth quarter. The 2-point conversion was incredible. It's just little things, and he kind of carried himself really, really well. Really special moment, too, that we put in the instant reaction. We'll have it on the sights and sounds, but I would imagine that Mike Hawkins Sr. is not much of a crier, and he was bawling up in the stands when Michael Hawkins Jr. went over and hugged him and his mom. It was a really cool moment. Happy for him. I think they said first true freshman to win his first road start or first start as on the road in over 100 years. That's incredible for Oklahoma football. It was just the whole fourth quarter had the exact kind of feel of what we saw in Knoxville back in 2015 and Baker and kind of his birth. It makes you wonder, and certainly easier to talk about here with I was telling the guys on the way back, 13 days until they play Texas, until they play again. That would have been a long 13 days for this fan base had they not been able to put the thing out. Absolutely unreal.
It was Carey. It was maybe, other than the 2019 Baylor game, for me, the most improbable win that I'm getting absolutely killed on Twitter for it. But I tweeted, I think it was 9 minutes. It was whenever they turned the ball over on downs in the fourth quarter.
I tweeted something about
when they went for it on 4th and 10.
Go from fourth down double digits in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I was just like, there's no chance they come back in this game. And I had tweeted out something that was like, we're going to try our best to keep this season entertaining over at Sooner Scoop. Hang with us. And it just from there on, it was just an unbelievable comeback.
The most incredible flip of a script that I've ever seen. And maybe because at least with the 2015 game, Carey, they had some playmakers around them.
Yeah.
This was basically the defense battening down the hatches, and they didn't have necessarily a great day. I know we'll talk about it more. They just made the plays, and the Kip Lewis interception is incredible. Toby's call of it is incredible. Watching Teddy basically read the play with Kip Lewis.
Teddy needed that after last week. George, he needed that after last week.
What's that, Carey?
Teddy really needed that after last week. We sat in here and watched his watch a man be destroyed after the backwards pass by Jackson Arnold that ended up being a turnover. If anybody needed that win, it was Teddy Lehman, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Yeah, I will say I just finished writing this, but you always hear the term Sooner magic or whatever, and you kind of all right, whatever. That was real tonight. That was real, and some of it was Auburn just totally melting down.
Yeah, can we take a moment to just get a dude to Hugh Freeze? What are they doing, Carey? Throwing the ball after the 22-yard rush in the fourth quarter. I guess he threw Peyton Thorne under the bus during his postgame. I haven't seen it. The actual quote, but what a meltdown. The kicking situation for Auburn.
Awful.
Shout out
Awful.
Zach Schmit.
Can you imagine
Zach Schmit redemption?
Can you imagine if you're an Auburn fan that maybe didn't know that OU had their starting place kicker was out with appendicitis, and the guy that was replacing him was a guy that people have literally given up on, and he hit 2 field goals that were the difference in this game today? And your kicker missed 2 basically chip shots right before halftime.
I don't know how the second kick was worse than the first kick. And he rushed the first kick.
But shout out to Zach Schmit. I mean, just a great performance by him today. It was his first 2 field goal attempts of the season. He made them both 24 yards, 39 yard with 54 seconds left that forced Auburn to have to score a touchdown and not be like they probably would have gone for a field goal. They probably would have, no matter what, they probably would have went for a touchdown, even if they're up by 3. But he helped put the pressure on toward the end to allow OU to kind of pin their ears back and allow R. Mason Thomas to pin his ears back. And R. Mason Thomas today, 2 sacks on back-to-back plays, 3rd and 4th downs of their second-to-last possession of the fourth quarter. Previously recorded 3 late fourth-quarter sacks versus Tulane on September 14th. But he was just once again the difference maker on defense when it counted.
That defense, as soon as they scored following the Hester long bomb in the 4th, they were really good. I mean, what Auburn, they got out to the before the pick 6, that was a 3rd and 4. They got out to about the 40-yard line, I think. But it just, or I guess they would have been over the 40, 63-yard return. But they had their ups and downs, obviously getting beat a couple times, but when OU needed them, they were the defense. That's kind of, and Brent talked about it after the game, kind of building the foundation of the program. And
he said he wanted to change the narrative, and he feels like they're starting to really change the narrative where people aren't, laughing at them. And look, like if OU wants to win, 8 games this season, which I think is on the table, they're going to have to win games like they did today where the defense gets stops and gets just a massive turnover late in the game. Now, not every quarterback in the SEC is just going to hand it to you like Peyton Thorne did, but like that defense was unbelievable. Like even was it the turnover on downs by Oklahoma, then they stop them and make them kick a long field goal and they miss it. Like that was a huge stop in the game because 2 plays later is the 60-yard pass to Hester. And then 2 plays after that was Barnes scoring. Yeah. Like that sparked the whole thing.
Well, and then the 4th down stop early in the game. I mean, that set the tone. Here's the thing for me. If this offense can just get a little bit more on track, if they can get to where they have a rhythm, look, the 9 penalties today were uncharacteristic of the team. Brent talked about it in the post game. It was, I think, 73 yards total that ended up getting marked off because of penalties, and they came at the worst times. I mean, after big gains, you had the Jake Roberts, which, you go back and look at that, you could have let that go. It wasn't really an egregious hold when he took away I think it was the Gavin Sawchuk run that really had that offense moving, and they ended up that was the series where they ended up going for it on 4th down and not getting it and turning the ball over on downs. But the tight ends were rough today. I mean, but you can't ignore the fact that Bauer Sharp is one of the main weapons catching the ball in this offense right now.
Yeah, he is, but they just make so many mental mistakes that it's hard because it's
the Bauer Sharp illegal procedure.
Oh, that shit can't happen, man. Like,
did he transfer from the Arena League or something? Did he think you could do that?
I don't know. That was such a bad play. And then, the Roberts thing, I guess you can say that the hold was a bad call, but like he's got to just let that guy go there. Like it wasn't.
He had no shot of being in that play. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just mental mistake after mental mistake at tight end, and like Sharp's a nice player in the passing game, but not a huge difference maker. So it's just, I don't know.
You can't be a liability. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You've got too many guys out there that are liabilities. Not just that they're not making plays. They're hurting the team when they're on the field. And look, that was my original point. If this offense can get to a point where they are more functional, that's going to make this defense better. Right now, this defense has 2 games straight, and thank God they have a week off, but 2 straight games where they're stretched to their limits, and that's even with them rotating guys left and right. By the way, Samuel Omasigo got his first career start, and that's along with Michael Hawkins, another true freshman that got a start today on the road in the SEC. So, I say true freshman, redshirt freshman, right? For
I'm a true freshman.
Okay.
Damn it, Carey.
We got it right though.
It's Hauck's notes. I'm blaming Hauck's notes. Anyway, so yeah, but I mean, sophomore linebacker Sammy Amasika. Okay, true freshman. They both got their first career starts today. And he played really well. I mean, I'm looking at the stats here. I mean, not a lot of numbers, but I mean, 3 tackles on the day. But he did have a pass breakup. I thought he was around the football a lot. He might have been other guys getting there. But my point being, if the offense can play a little bit better, the defense is going to get better as well, because they're not going to be on the field all the time. They're not going to be stressed by having their backs against their own goal line when they first start out in a series. It's just, we've seen this defense the last 2 weeks. They can be worn down a little bit. And if the offense just plays a little bit better, you think about that entire third quarter. It's just awful. They just left the defense out there to die on the vine, and then when they finally got it going, it picked the defense up, and they were the difference in the game when it really mattered.
Jewelry isn't a gift you give just once. It's a way to remind your loved one of a beautiful moment every time they see it. Blue Nile can help you find the gift that says how you feel and says it beautifully, with expert guidance and a wide assortment of jewelry of the highest quality at the best price. Go to BlueNile.com and experience the convenience of shopping Blue Nile, the original online jeweler since 1999. That's BlueNile.com to find the perfect jewelry gift for any occasion. BlueNile.com.
Is it okay to say that the offense has been so bad? Did they take a step today? I thought there were some things that Hawkins did today that I was like, okay.
Yeah, they were down 21-10. Yeah, they took a step today. They came back from down 21-10 and scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. That's a step. That's a huge step. Well, Kip Lewis's interception had something to do with it.
Yeah, I was going to say Kip Lewis. But, it's still so bad. But you have to, look at it like this. It is a step because Michael Hawkins today, this is kind of a crazy stat to think about. His 48-yard touchdown run is the longest run play from scrimmage for Oklahoma this year, and his 60-yard pass is the longest pass play from scrimmage this year for Oklahoma.
Crazy.
So for that to happen in the same game, that's definitely a step in the right direction, because if you can just keep getting incrementally better every single week offensively, eventually this thing's going to be decent by the end of the year. And you look around the league, look, there's not going to be an easy win on the schedule. No chance. Not in this conference, but Texas didn't play great against Mississippi State today. That game's always a wacky one, but you look at Ole Miss, that becomes a heck of a lot maybe easier game than what you were anticipating. Not easy, but it's more of a winnable game than maybe you thought. Missouri on the road, I think, is a winnable game. LSU on the road's a winnable game. I don't think they're beating Alabama, but you look across the thing, and it's if they can just, you're right, Carey, if they can just be a little bit better offensively, then maybe they can win, 7, 8, 9 games.
Just rise up the defense a little bit. I mean, just give, it's a good defense, but they're not great when they have no support from the offense. I don't think any defense, I don't know, Alabama's defense was terrible in the second half tonight. I mean, and they were great in the first half when the offense was rolling. But as soon as Georgia stepped up and started getting them to get off the field, that Alabama defense wore down. So, look, it's there's no absolutes in this thing for people to come out and try and say, well, this defense really isn't that great. Yeah, it's not great when you have an offense that sucks as bad as Oklahoma's offense has sucked. Give them some support. Play complimentary football. Let's see what happens. And that's week off, got to play Texas coming up next. I don't look at Texas as, some immovable object. I think they're highly overrated right now. I don't think that they've proved a lot, but we're going to see. They're a year removed from Oklahoma beating them. Yes, they don't have Dylan Gabriel, the offensive line they had a year ago, but I think they're better on defense than they were a year ago.
OU?
Yes, Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, they are. It was a step in the right direction, and I think that the bye week obviously comes at a great time for them. Try to get as healthy as possible. You would think that they're going to take it pretty easy here through the first couple days of the week, and it's the OU Texas game. Roll the dice and see what happens. I think stranger things have obviously happened down there at the Cotton Bowl before. So
here's one thing.
It'll be good.
And here's one thing I want to know about Michael Hawkins too. The guys that were sitting out today that weren't there, heard about Deion Burks, traveling this weekend. We all know that undercurrent of the 4-game stuff is there. But he's already redshirted, I believe, so I don't know what applies to him. But some of these guys that might be thinking of checking out, would they have seen that game today and said, oh, wait, we might have a quarterback. This may not be as bad as I thought it was on offense. Could it bring some of those guys back to the table?
I also just part of me just doesn't buy into the whole narrative that guys are just checking out. Like, I think Nick Anderson is legitimately like injured. And then I think because he just doesn't strike me as a guy that would just quit. Yeah. And Deion Burks doesn't either. Like, I just don't buy that.
He must be a lot hurt. I'll put up the video. He does like take a big blow to the chest. I don't know what exactly it is, but you would hope to hell that he's back by the Texas game.
I think the thing we learned about this team today, at least the guys that played today, there's the culture and the program and the belief within that group that cannot be questioned. Like, I don't know if Brent Venables is going to work out long term. I still think that that's a valid question, within that program in terms of they still got to go win some football games and really compete these next few years. But he's got those guys believing. That's for damn sure. Like you
don't come back from what they were today.
And I get it. Auburn shit down their leg in that game
easily when they were down 21-10. It could have easily been 28-10.
Yeah, I mean, for them to respond the way they did today, just remarkable. And you look at the guys that are the ones making the plays, and it's these young guys that they've developed, whether it's Kip Lewis or an R. Mason Thomas. I mean, those guys were studs at the end of the game. A Michael Hawkins, who they came in and recruited. A J.J. Hester, who stuck around in the program, right? How about Zach Schmit, a guy that, we've been like, you're crazy for continuing to believe in this guy, Brent. And he's the one out there icing the game. Like, that to me is like everything that happened in those last 9 minutes of the game is like a representation of what Brent has been trying to build the last 3 years. And I get it. It's one game and they've got to go perform the rest of the year. But this is the type of win that I think can be season defining, and maybe even like you look back on in a couple of years and be like, that was the moment for this program.
Needs to have the same effect that the 2015 Tennessee win had for that team and that group of guys. And, I asked Danny and Kip, Billy Bowman, a number of the guys after the game, they all agreed that, the cliche line around here is just every week is big, every win is big, we treat it the same. I think that you can take something out of this. The way that they won, coming together on the road in Carey, I think it was one of the more hostile environments that I can remember covering a game. Auburn fans are awesome. That was a great atmosphere. The tailgating scene before the game, incredible. 10 out of 10 for Auburn and everything that they had. But galvanizing wins like that don't come every weekend, and you kind of got to milk it for what it's worth. It's going to be interesting to see how they can kind of handle a little bit of success and the way that they won and the manner that they won, because we were talking about it on the way back. It's like after the Texas game last year, they did not handle that well. And this year they have another opportunity to do that. And you would think that with as many veteran guys around there, that's going to be something that's going to be, kind of reverberated around the program. Just, you got to be able to take that moment and seize it for what it is.
By the way, Dylan Gabriel just threw a pick 6 on the goal line.
Well, that's not good.
Like his back against the goal line?
I think he was going into the end zone.
Oh, okay.
Is that on?
They're up 28-10, but
yeah, UCLA is terrible.
Yeah, they're not any good. You guys are in Auburn, Alabama. Well, now you're in Montgomery, Alabama. You ended up driving there thanks to our great friends at Eskridge Lexus. Want you guys to know, Eskridge Lexus, they were right in the middle of that absolutely massive hailstorm that hit North Oklahoma City and Edmond. But luckily, Eskridge has hail tents all over. And their new and pre-owned vehicles escaped without any damage. So, look, you don't have to wait weeks or months to get your vehicle fixed when you can just trade it in as it is for one of their new or pre-owned Lexus. Also, you can receive a $1,000 discount when you mention that you're a scooper. So go by and test drive the new GX550. That's the really kick-ass new SUV. Or maybe look at one of their mini RX 350s, which I believe you guys drove to Auburn this weekend, or other great Lexus models. You can also see all their inventory at eskridgelexus.com or call the guys at 405-755-9000. Now, here's how much those guys take care of us. In some kind of snafu between Atlanta meteorologists and I don't know what else, you guys were convinced that there was no way that your direct flights were going to make it to Atlanta, and you decided, well, let's get a Lexus from Ed just to make sure, and ended up your flights did make it, but you drove anyway.
All-time bad decision.
I'm glad that it makes me feel a little better that you could say that. He'd be home at noon tomorrow if
Thursday night when we made the decision, the Weather Channel was literally saying 70-mile-per-hour winds.
The world is going to
morning
end.
hours in Atlanta. And with the rain and everything that it was on the coast, it was like, okay, this seems like the right decision. I was very worried about checking in at the Will Rogers and having to check my tripod and my bag, which would have had the pod equipment in it. And I was deathly afraid of getting to the gate and them saying, the flight's delayed. And I have such a great distrust of the airline industry right now that I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to be at an airport all day, and then I couldn't get my bags if we really did have to get here for a 2:30 kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
So the decision was made. We're going to go ahead. We'll just bite the bullet. We'll drive. And we ended up driving in a hurricane for like 9 hours.
And it wasn't that bad.
No, it was just raining.
Yeah. Shout out our good friend Josh Calloway. He tagged along.
Yeah, it was a fun trip. It's going to make it the trip a lot. If they would have lost tonight and we had to drive back tomorrow, that would have been like a 17-hour
Guys,
trip.
I think if they would have lost tonight, let's say they end up with just 10 points in this game, I think we would be like reporting on maybe like a staff change tomorrow.
At least a change in duties.
Carey?
What did I think of what?
Just Littrell and the offensive game plan.
I mean, my biggest concern right now is that tight end room, and just it's so bad. I mean, it's just there's no players there, and Joe John was here before Seth Littrell got here, and I know everybody wants Devon Mitchell. I just don't think he's ready yet. He's not the answer. So I mean, that's the one thing I take away. I'm just like, if it's this bad here. And we talked about it last week. Like, the receiver room hasn't really developed either. Today was a big step forward for them with J.J. Hester and the way he played. But, I mean, this offense has to get some guys. I will say this. What I saw from Michael Hawkins today in the pass game, even before the fourth quarter, he looked like a guy that is actually finding receivers coming open downfield. I can't say that I've ever seen that for Jackson Arnold at all this year. The throw to Bauer Sharp was fantastic. He saw him coming into an open space. He threw to the open space. He hit him in stride. We only have to go after the Hester, over the Hester bomb. That was a great throw. But just overall, I felt like there was some progress in the pass game that showed that this could be a capable offense. Now, it was fleeting, and there's too many times, I think, when Michael Hawkins doesn't have people open because the talent level is just not good enough to get open. And that's why we're seeing Michael Hawkins and not Jackson Arnold. But the good things I saw in the passing game makes me believe they have something to build on that I haven't seen all year.
Yeah, and I think the play calling, there was definitely some that I was like, all right, what the hell was that? Like, there was like a couple tight end screens and I'm like, just why? But I think it was also they were being very conservative. Like they were definitely like let's just punt the football, let our defense, carry this thing.
Which I don't have a problem with.
I don't
with the
either.
Quarterback.
Now, the play calling down on the goal line when they ended up having to kick the field goal, the first two plays, those were bad. They were bad play designs, bad play calls. And then he calls a great play call on the 3rd and goal, and it gets called back from the Bauer Sharp illegal motion. So I didn't think the game plan was that bad. I think that there's certainly some improvement to be made, but
you know what? I had a bigger
Carey. Hawkins.
No, go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say Hawkins. I thought Hawkins was pushing the ball down the field at times. Like he was throwing guys open. I thought like the best play of the game was it was 2nd and like 14 or something, and it's the scramble play that he throws it to Hester, and Hester makes a nice play and picks up the first down. I don't know if his knee hit the ground or not, but like that's a heck of a that is not a play that Jackson Arnold was making. Like to be able to get out of the pocket like that and make a pass down the field, like that was big time stuff. It just felt like, and he, Brent talked about it after the game, his ability to get out of the pocket and escape like what would have been sacks. Like he only got sacked twice tonight, and he was running for his life a lot of the time, but like that ability and then the ability to take off. I mean, the first touchdown, I mean, that's a hell of a play to be able to go score there.
2 guys that have the ankle on them. I don't know if they were the cornerbacks or the safeties. He basically made them run together, like run into each other.
Yeah.
And he just flat out beat them with speed.
And he's a tough son of a bitch, dude. He got hit so hard.
The time that his mouthpiece came flying out, I thought he was going to be dead.
And then he flips into the end zone again. I mean,
you need to stop that shit.
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt. He's become too important right now.
I'll tell you this. My biggest issue with just game management and just decision making was I thought the defensive coordinator put it on Zach Alley. I just think he was too vanilla and allowed Thorne to get into a rhythm that he never should have been able to get into by not dialing up, some pressures. And I just thought like he had a clean pocket for too much of that game through 3 quarters. And it took to the 4th quarter. It was like, okay, now we're in a position. We're going to send our Mason. We're going to send Trace. We're going to put Danny. There was Robert Spears Jennings came free one time and got a sack. Like they started eventually dialing it up, but they let that get to a point where Peyton Thorne was just doing whatever he wanted, and he was just picking apart the secondary. And at the time, I think that was the way to go. But once you started getting behind 21-10, it was like, okay, this is going to get out of control really quickly. And they had to kind of adjust and feel their way. But that was a period of the game where I felt like some of the coaching broke down a little bit.
Think you know the Brooks Ghost? Think again. Introducing the all-new, better-than-ever Ghost 16. Now with nitrogen-infused cushioning for lightweight, supreme softness that feels good every step, every street, every single day. So go ahead, take your daily joyride in the all-new nitrogen-infused Ghost 16. It'll turn your everyday miles into everyday endorphins. Let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
Yeah, and I think that defensively, they have got to, like, when they give quarterbacks time, and this is like pretty much any defense in football, like when they have time, they're able to deliver the ball down the field. Now, OU's corners got beat a couple times, and I do think that could be a weakness. Like, Kenai Walker getting beat over the top and Des Malone getting beat over the top for touchdowns, like that stuff can't happen. But part of the issue for Oklahoma defensively was they couldn't get any pressure. And so they had to start bringing extra guys. And when they did, Peyton Thorne clearly was struggling. I mean, on the pick 6, they're bringing a blitz on that. Like that was why he was trying to get the ball out quick. And he also just totally misread Kip, because Kip was walking up like he was going to blitz and drops back, in coverage. So,
well, if you look at that play, R. Mason was bearing down on him. It forced him to throw the ball earlier than he wanted to. And he just ended up trying to put it in an area of the field, and he didn't get it far enough down the field because the receiver had already broken up. And Kip actually almost fell down backpedaling on that play and kind of gained his balance and the ball just came right down to him. But that's a great example of, because they put 8 up on the line, they dropped Kip, and I think they dropped Danny back too, and they sent R. Mason on the edge, and he was going to get home if he didn't get rid of the ball quickly. And that was the best example of he's a different quarterback when you get in his face. When he has that clean pocket, like you said, like most quarterbacks that can throw the ball, he'll tear you apart, and he did at times.
Yeah, R. Mason, by the way, he's a dog. I mean, that dude is unfreaking believable at the end of games. Like the like
predictable passing situations, you can let him just rip off. Well,
but like to have a guy that
the second sack too, that is a hell of a play because he overruns it.
And then he comes back,
Thorne back down.
And Halton was right there too. He deserves credit. He was right on top of him too. But like Brent said it after the game, he's in such good condition. Like that, him being able to do that is him like making sure that he's in great condition to be able to close the game out like that. Like that is just, that dude's special, man. Like he's got a chance to be an NFL like caliber type player. Like I don't know, man. He's great. And then Robert Spears-Jennings, he comes up with the big sack, which, that's just a great call. Great blitz package there.
Right in the mouth, too.
Yeah.
Just an incredible play.
Robert didn't have a great day. Like, I think he
was second on the team in tackles.
Do what?
Robert Spears-Jennings was second on the team in tackles today.
Spears-Jennings, though, wasn't great in coverage. He got beat a couple times, and he also, I think that he was supposed to be deep on the ball that Kanai got beat on, because Brent and Brandon Hall were giving him a pretty good earful on the sideline after that play. So, but yeah, I mean, he's still a great player. We saw a lot more Peyton Bowen today too. Which, Carey, did you think on the pass, it ended up Auburn goes down to score, but on the big pass play that Peyton Bowen got beat on, that looked like a pretty clear offensive pass interference to me. Did it to you?
Yeah, there was a pretty good push off, but I mean that it wasn't enough. I mean, I saw a lot worse in the Alabama-Georgia game tonight. I mean, these refs are going to let you play.
I will say they were saying on the radio broadcast, Toby Rowland and them before the game, that the officiating crew was one that I think it was like Auburn and Arkansas. They had like a controversial game like a couple years ago or something. And there's been like a petition to like get them out of the SEC conference, like that officiating crew today. Like they are like known as like the worst crew in the conference or something.
By the way, there was one. Do you remember there was a kickoff when Zach Schmit made the tackle and he ended up getting a face mask call? It literally would have been better for him to just kick the ball out of bounds. They had more yardage from him trying to tackle someone than they would have just him kicking it out of bounds.
I love it though.
That was kind of another one of those moments where OU had to settle for the field goal, and you felt like they were kind of slowly creeping back into the game, and then all of a sudden you get the big return, missed tackle at the front end, big return, 15 on the end for the face mask. And it's like there were just so many little things that Auburn did not take advantage of, but give OU credit for hanging around in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I thought Kobe McKenzie had a pretty good day today. I mean, he was noticeable. He was visible. He chased some people down.
Danny did not have a good
day. Tackling.
I don't know if you go back and watch Danny, he's kind of doing that thing now where they play that front and they just want him to kind of get in that A gap and just force running backs to go somewhere else. It's like but
he also
did miss a tackle. Yeah, he missed a tackle head on.
What? He was wearing a cowboy collar today. I wonder. Is he healthy?
I think there's something going on. Teddy was talking about it on the broadcast too, that he thinks something's going on with him. But Kobe played great. I think he's kind of becoming a leader on this team. Like he is very, very vocal.
Trace Ford after the game last week said that he was one of the guys, I think it was along with Billy Bowman, that like stood up and talked to the team, and we talked to him about it on Monday night.
And speaking of that too, Javonte Barnes said after the game that Mike Hawkins got up and spoke to the team before the game, and then after the game, he got the game ball today. And I think him and Kip both got game balls, and he spoke, and it just feels like guys like. And then you see the pictures of him like doing
he got picked up in the locker
room. Like it just seems like he's the guy for the team.
He's kind of endeared himself to this, quote unquote varsity group. I think he's I stopped short of saying this. I don't think it actually happened, but the way that his teammates react to Mike, in the back of my mind, it makes you wonder if there was a lot of guys in that locker room that felt like he had outplayed Jackson throughout the fall, through preseason camp. They felt like he should have been the guy. And it's easy to say that now, and it's certainly easy to say it after the way that they won today. It just makes you wonder. And the way Eddie, that thing responded even last week.
Eddie, that could be one of those things where even though I think players handle it well, he's the bonus baby. Jackson Arnold's the bonus baby. He's the NIL, he's the 5-star. And yet they go out to practice and they see this other guy, and I think a lot of guys are just like, is this really a true competition? Is this really the best players play, or is this the 5-stars play?
Yeah, maybe it's nothing, but it's just, and it's certainly easy to sit here and say that right now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's any question.
The way he operates the offense too.
Carey, I thought it was so loud at times, and he was checking or letting
changing the play. Yeah,
we haven't seen that from the quarterback position so far this year. Just being able to kind of call everything.
And I wonder if things. They're doing stuff. Here's the thing: I wonder if things don't continue to progress. Maybe they let him start running some RPO stuff. Maybe Brent loosens up about that when he sees.
They did today.
Well, I mean, they were making that a bigger part of the offense than it was. I don't know how much today was pre-designed. I mean, you guys probably talked to Seth, so you know, but
I mean, he did. I don't think he really said.
He didn't say much.
But I mean, they didn't run as. I don't think they ran as much. I honestly don't know. It felt like they definitely had some more designed run stuff today that was like very clear, like just hand the ball off here.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I really felt
by
like.
the way, Javon, that's running back on the team.
I really felt like
I thought he had a couple.
Javonte was just give me the ball and I'm going to run hard and I'm going to get as many yards as I can. And it was. There were some times when I think he could have made a cut here or there and really opened up the field for himself. But, I mean, that touchdown that he had, fantastic. I mean, he's just a guy that's getting the ball and saying, let me get 4 or 5 yards. Just don't let me get hit behind.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they need right now. They need a deliberate runner. They don't need Gavin Sawchuk being their main guy. And he did have a nice run today that ended up getting called back, so maybe you can get him in there more. But there's a reason that Taylor Tatum and Javonte Barnes have been the better running backs with this offensive line, because you have to be very deliberate in your decision-making because those holes aren't open for very long.
I think it all kind of goes hand in hand with the offensive line playing just a little bit better than they had all season. But at the same time, it just felt like the run game was coming easier to them than it had. And obviously, it had not come together at all.
You can tell how big of a difference having Jake Taylor out there is, because to be able to play Tarquin at left, who is, by the way, Michael Tarquin, we have shit a lot on the offensive line. He has done a really good job for this group. Like, he has been very solid, way better than I anticipated. And then you're able to play Jacob Sexton at left guard, which maybe is not his most natural position, but he's a hell of a lot better than what they've been playing at left guard. Hickman is getting healthier. Wee-woo, I don't know how well he played today, but like, it makes a big difference to have Jake Taylor out there. And man, that dude is battling his ass off. Like, he is battling through several injuries. And for him to go out there and play as well as he did today, like, if they can just get healthy up there, again, they're not going to go win the Joe Moore Award. I don't even know if they'll be good, but like, you can play behind that offensive line that played today. Like, you can live with that.
They only gave up 2 sacks to an Auburn defensive line that was considered better than average coming in today. And I will say this: I know some people are going to listen to what you just said about Michael Tarquin, because there was one play where he just flat out got beat on a speed rush to the outside, and it accounted for a sack.
It's going to happen.
But there were 2 sacks on the day. I mean, that's pretty damn good for this offensive line and what they've been. And of course, some of that, like, you put Jackson Arnold back there, you're going to have more sacks. That's why you have Michael Hawkins Jr. back there, because he's going to void some of those.
Yeah, and look, like this is like brings me to the whole point of this is like this is the fucking SEC, man. Like you're gonna get beat. This shit's tough, and like winning football games in this league, like it's flat out hard. Like, and Eddie, you tweeted it. Like I saw someone tweet you during the game about like just the physicality of it. It's so different.
Of Auburn's defense versus Oklahoma's offense was glaring at times.
That's what I told you guys.
To a certain extent.
I was just saying, that's why I told you guys I'm worried about this offense surviving the rest of the year.
Yeah. It's a different, like, I know it's another one of those like easy things for us to sit here and say tonight, but just being in that stadium today, I can't remember a time outside of like a Bedlam game or maybe an Oklahoma, an OU Texas game or something like that. The atmosphere, it just feels bigger, and Auburn's not even good, and those people still showed out.
Yeah, I mean Auburn, and that's the thing too. I mean, if you're going to sit and watch the highlight shows tonight, OU's not going to get a lot of credit for this win because historically Auburn is seen as that team in the SEC that always blows it. Just that might be a positive for this team.
As soon as Kip returned the pick six, I was thinking about the conversation we had with Justin Hawkinson in the game day preview on YouTube, just talking about like I can't remember what he called it, the Tiger syndrome or whatever, that they always like, even the crowd, it wasn't like a shocked feeling as much as it was just dead quiet.
Oh, there were so many surrender cobras in the crowd. It was unbelievable. Hundreds, maybe thousands. That's a
I can imagine.
That's a generational move that has been, I mean, Texas has been the same way for a long time. I mean, when they play Oklahoma, they've gotten used to that. So, but it was, yeah, I mean, I'm sure as much as you talk about the atmosphere, that interception was the most you've ever seen a crowd go from up to down in one play.
It was kind of a slow trickle. I mean, after the Hester long bomb, you kind of felt it in the crowd, and then OU was able to cap that drive. And as the defense was running out, it was like, okay, they just need to get a stop. They had to get a stop. Doesn't matter when. And then they throw that the 3rd and 9, and they pick it up. It was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Look, I just here's the thing. 2 weeks before Texas, there's going to be a lot of buildup in the fan bases for this game. I think the national narrative is going to be that OU just can't hang with a team like Texas, because I saw SEC Mike's. He was ranking the SEC teams, and he still got OU 12th. So there's not going to be a lot of respect for OU for winning this game at Auburn, which I think every OU fan feels like, okay, maybe this team's got something here. And they just lost 25-15. Like, everybody was saying how Tennessee could have named the score and all that stuff, and they really beat OU a lot worse than the scoreboard looked like. There's not a lot of respect for Oklahoma right now, and there's a ton of respect for Texas. And I think that's going to fuel this team heading into the off week. It should. It better. Because if you get this offense going with that defense and give them a little bit of a bump, I really think OU's got a chance in the Red River Rivalry. I do.
I think, Carey, you're right. Like, I think that they're gonna be in every game this year. I think like they're gonna have, and in it, I mean, like, there's gonna be moments early in the game and probably even late in the game that they've got a chance to either come back or put the game away or whatever it is. And it's going to come down to, can the defense make just a ginormous play like they did today? Or can, Michael Hawkins make a play, whatever it is. Like, it feels like they're going to play a lot of close games. And I think the OU Texas game, we all know it. It's one of those games that a lot of crazy shit can happen. OU just has to come in. And I think you're right. Like, have a chip on their shoulder, because not a lot of people, myself included, think they can win that game right now. Like even how great this win was today here in Auburn, like there's still a large part of me that's like, there's no chance OU's going to beat Texas the way Texas is playing. But you create some turnovers, you get some special teams play, whatever. We've seen the momentum swing in that place. So I think anything's possible. And we've said it. I said it on the instant reaction. Just get to 4-1. Get to 4-1. Get to the bye week. Get some of these guys healthy. Like, take a refresh. Reevaluate kind of what you're doing offensively in some ways, and see what can happen the rest of the year, because they're still sitting in a really good position for the rest of the season to win some football games, and it's going to be tough, but. I think if they can just keep getting a little bit better on offense, they found something in Michael Hawkins. Like, I truly believe that. And if they can continue to build off that, then maybe they can, pull off a huge upset.
I don't know. Texas, I mean, they played their first SEC game today, and they started Arch Manning. Quinn Ewers didn't dress out.
They didn't play well.
But they didn't play well. I mean, in Mississippi State, I mean, they were able to put some points on the board. 13 points with a backup quarterback. They lost their starting quarterback last week, the Shapen kid. Mississippi. I mean, Ole Miss lost today. Like, Missouri hasn't looked great. I mean, you're right. This is gonna be a bloodbath. This isn't like, no matter what the national narrative is, this Oklahoma team, they're going to come in and punch everyone in the mouth. Now, Alabama, it might be a different story. They look like the best team in college football right now, to me, when they're not letting down in the second half.
I told Eddie, my thought watching the SEC is you've got Georgia, Alabama, and Texas probably in one tier, and then you've got like 8 to 10 teams that you could convince me could beat anybody, like inside that 8 to 10 teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, those teams could all beat each other. And like, even Tennessee, I'm not putting Tennessee in that top tier yet, because I still look back at that game a week ago and be like, oh, you had a chance. Like, if they don't turn the ball over 3 times, they have a chance to win that game. So it's like, and everybody in the conference, Texas A&M barely beats Arkansas today. Like, I don't know what to make of either of those two teams. Ole Miss, who I thought was in that top tier, looked terrible today. Missouri has not been impressive at all this season. Like, there's just so many teams that, can beat each other. That was Eddie playing the damn. We got to see the Eagle. The Eagle today. Eagle, yeah, it was awesome.
Sweet.
The
flying was awesome.
Those things are scary up close, aren't they?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
They're like dinosaurs, man. The claws. They can kill you. Like, that's a creature standing, a few feet from you that could kill you if it wanted to.
Yeah.
Did you see that video, Carey, that I put out of Eddie tipping his cap to
Yes,
it?
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why OU won. He's paying his respect to Auburn.
Homage.
Yeah.
Homage.
It was again, we've said it so many times, people are probably sick of it, but the atmosphere today was awesome.
How about the
tailgating
stadium
scene,
overall? What was how was the overall look and the build and the tidiness of their stadium?
They have the largest video board in college football, which I didn't realize. But the problem is they only have one video board. It's on the one side, and then on the other side, there's nothing. It's just a scoreboard.
It's like the old scoreboard in the south end zone, but smaller.
With no TV on.
Excuse me, the north end zone.
Yeah,
with no replays. So like, even the Cotton Bowl is better now than Auburn.
Yeah. The Cotton Bowl at least has 2 video boards.
And George and, like Toby, the broadcast crew, you can't even see it because the press box is in the end zone.
The press box, the worst I've ever been in. Like,
I've heard that you
cannot see shit.
And I knew Toby was prepared for the badness because he mentioned it before the trip.
He was great on the call, though. I was listening to him during the game. He was really, really. You would not have been able to tell.
Toby was having a day today. He was texting me about watches like 15 minutes before kickoff.
Really?
Yeah. It was bizarre.
His call of the Kip Lewis.
The Kip Lewis interception
is great.
Is awesome. It's a great call.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching OU on the air
Teddy,
tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Andrew Shepard's going crazy.
Go listen to the Spanish call too. It's
watching
good.
Andrew Shepard go nuts and trying not to make noise is one of my favorite things about watching that OU on the air broadcast.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Somebody was yelling. I don't know if it was Drake or somebody, one of the engineer guys. Somebody was yelling in the background, which I love.
I love that. Like, let them yell. Yeah, I mean, if they're in the background, it's no big deal to me.
By the way, Carey, you know who's awful?
Who?
Alabama's play-by-play voice is terrible.
Oh, their new guy?
For Eli Gold.
He's awful.
Didn't Eli Gold retire?
Georgia game on the way home.
Didn't Eli Gold retire?
Yeah.
They forced him to retire, didn't they? Yeah. For this new guy, and the new guy's terrible.
The new guy. Yes.
I did see I saw the call of the final interception, and he couldn't figure out who intercepted it.
Oh, see, we flipped it. We had to flip it to the Georgia call because we were on Sirius or whatever. So we flipped it to the Georgia call because it was so bad. And he couldn't tell us the down and distance, the time, like the play where Georgia catches the long touchdown for the lead. Like, we didn't know it was a touchdown until like 10 seconds after. He's like, and they just scored. They just took the lead. And we're like, what? Like, we just thought it was a long pass play.
He said down inside the 15 and then pauses for like 5 seconds. And then he says, Georgia takes the lead. It was the damnedest thing. I've never heard anything like it.
By the way, for everybody that's asking, we're never going to do a drunk pod when people are on the road. So you can just stop requesting that, and they won too, so we don't do drunk pods.
Never rule it out.
Maybe a bowl game.
Yeah,
we were looking at bowl game stay. We'll save that for when they get bowl eligible.
Yeah, George had the Rose Bowl.
Oh, trust me, guys. There were people that were counting Maine as a loss in the third quarter of this game today.
I can imagine that there were some dark spots.
The same people. Those are the same people that were like, "This team's terrible." And like, I had tweeted, it was so funny. I loved going through my mentions afterwards because there was a point. It was when Auburn scored to go up 21-10. I was like, Auburn touchdown. This one's probably over. And it was like 100 replies was like, probably this one's been over. It's been over. And then I looked back after the game and it was like, you're an idiot, George. You're an idiot. It was never over. They always had it.
Well, it's been an interesting day. And I don't think the Tennessee game was any different, the one we were talking about in 2015. It's a process, and we'll see where it goes. I will say this. Stop asking me why George and Eddie don't wear OU gear on the instant analysis. They're not able to do that. Like, it's unprofessional. They're paid journalists who are credentialed. You don't do that stuff. You don't cheer in the press box. You don't wear the team apparel that you cover. And I said this, you don't fight with the other beat writers, which I'm sure, sometimes we think about doing that, but we're not allowed. So anyway, that's a big fight on the YouTube comments right now.
Thanks for watching. Other than that,
because we only spent $1 million to build these studios. It's not like we support OU at all. I mean,
$1 million?
We're past that now. Yeah, don't tell Josh. Anyway, that's any final thoughts before the 12-hour drive home tomorrow?
I truly do think that it's a massive win for the program. Just the way that happened. You have to pause, kind of spin it into a positive. Obviously, the dark conversation that we would be having right now if they would have lost that game today, I think that there would be a lot of people wondering if there's going to be a coaching change tomorrow, or at least a play calling change. And I don't know, maybe you fight through this thing. Maybe you can get healthy. Maybe you can go compete at the Cotton Bowl and surprise a ton of people and see where this thing takes you. Defensively, though, the Kip Lewis play, I think it certainly, I don't think is on like the same tier as Torrance Marshall because of the national championship implication that obviously had in 2000. But that is a play that's going to go down in OU lore, I think. It was truly a special day.
It reminded so many people of the Torrance Marshall interception against Texas A&M, although the stakes were a lot bigger then.
Sure.
Yeah. I think for me, Carey, it's like there was a point in that game where I was literally sitting in the press box. I think it was when they turned it over on downs. And I'm like, all right, how am I going to phrase this question to Brent about if they need to make staff changes in the middle of the season? And to now sit here and be like, what can they do in the Cotton Bowl in 2 weeks in terms of like compete with Texas? Like, it's crazy how it changed in the matter of, a few minutes,
30 minutes of real time, probably. Yeah. And I think that, again, maybe we'll go back just the same way that it kind of was the birth for Baker. Maybe this was the birth of Michael Hawkins. There's definitely something special there. I was just incredibly impressed with the way that he just ran the offense today, even though it wasn't good to a certain extent. I know that kind of doesn't make sense, but just to stick with it and then come up with the big plays when he needed to, it was incredible.
And I think it should also be said, this team still has so much to prove. Like, it was a huge win, and that's great. And Seth Luttrell lives to see another day, all of that. But they need to build on it. They can't go out in a couple of weeks and lay an egg. And even if they go and lose in the Cotton Bowl, they got to beat South Carolina at home. Like, you can't lose that football game. Like, there's still so much of this season that they have to prove that they are getting better and that it wasn't just a one-off deal where Auburn just totally shit down their pants.
The wide receiver and tight end thing, though, and obviously for two drastically different reasons. The tight end unit is healthy. They're just not any good.
Yeah.
The wide receiver unit not having Burks today, which makes the top 5 receivers on the team in August not available. Just that mere fact that they were able to win the football game today without those guys.
I said it before the game, Eddie. Any team in the country, and you say their top 5 wide receivers are out, they're playing behind a makeshift offensive line, and they're starting a true freshman quarterback on the road for the first time in one of the craziest atmospheres in college football. No chance are you picking that team to win today. No chance.
Incredible.
I will say this. My final thought is what I saw from Michael Hawkins tonight was that first he got Brenen Thompson involved in the offense like we haven't seen him all year. Then he got J.J. Hester involved like we haven't seen him in his entire career. Bauer Sharp was good. You need to get Deion Burks back. I want to see Deion Burks with this kid. And this was after a week of practice where Michael Hawkins was running with the ones. So you saw an incredible amount of progress in the passing game under Michael Hawkins. I hope Deion Burks is healthy, and I hope he can get back out there in 2 weeks, because putting Deion Burks with what I saw today from Michael Hawkins developing and bringing along J.J. Hester and Brenen Thompson, I think that's the best thing that can happen to this offense right now, because I do think Deion Burks is special. He just hasn't had an opportunity to really shine. And I think getting a chance to work with Michael Hawkins, getting Michael Hawkins used to him and what he is as a receiver, I think can take this offense to the next level based on what I saw today.
Definitely.
I agree.
All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back again on Monday with the recruiting report and the game day review. Rewind, damn it. I didn't mess up anybody's names today on the podcast. I just want that to be known for the record.
No, you didn't mess up anybody's names, but you did think Samuel Masigo was a true freshman.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate it. It was the notes, damn it. There's too many notes. Anyway, that's going to do it. We'll be back again. Well, not next week, but after the Texas game for the next Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. Thanks again to Ed and those guys. Go check them out online, eskridgelexus.com, or call them at 405-755-9000. If you want to get your car that's got hail damage taken care of and getting a new car, go see them. They'll give you $1,000 off. Just tell them you're a scooper. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks on the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast from Soonerscoop.com.